career shift to IT.com. And now your host, Carlo Miranda.
Hi guys, in today's episode, we're kind of lucky enough to speak with a technical recruiter, so we could get some advice on what's happening behind the scene, and it's not every day that we get a chance to speak and ask questions with a technical recruiter. So I have here Miss Day Anicee, and she's one of the technical recruiter we dealt with my previous company. So Day, how are you?
Hi, I'm Carla. I'm doing good. How
That's
about
nice.
you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for asking. Well, today, our audience today are kind of anxious to know what's happening behind the scene, and most of our listeners are aspiring candidates to transition to IT or into IT, but wanted to transition to another IT job. So let's try to help them out and clear out some stuff, and so that they'll get the chance to know what's happening behind the scene. Okay.
All right.
All right. So it's not every day I get the chance to ask this, but can you tell me a bit something about yourself, Day?
All right. So I'm Day, Anicee Timbol. You can call me Day. I'm a full-time IT recruitment professional for 8 years, catering to both local and international clients in various industries. I've been helping fresh graduates and tenured IT professionals land a job in IT field since 2011. It's my passion to secure lives of every Filipino as a recruiter and as a financial advisor.
Okay, that's very concise. But yeah, how did you get into IT recruitment? Was it your choice, or do you have, or right from the get go, you?
Okay, so I graduated from Polytechnic University of the Philippines as a BS psychology holder, and then
Mhm.
I worked in a service recruitment company. That's why I belong to an IT field.
Let's get some things straight here. But for example, you do have an applicant, and how do you gauge an applicant for a position?
In order to gauge a candidate, you just have to measure his skills and experiences based on the job description provided by the client. So it's not as hard as it seems. However, it's not only the technical aspects or the crucial items to check when you're doing the screening. You should always keep in mind that behavioral assessment is also part of the recruitment process, and it's very important to the hiring manager. Professionalism
Mhm.
and good moral conduct should always be present at all times in each recruitment stages, from initial interview to offer stage.
Okay, so something tells me that you don't just try to measure the professionalism and the technical side of the of the aspiring candidate. You also try to measure and uncover the real character. Is that right?
Yes,
Why is it important to know the character?
because these candidates will be dealing with the stakeholders of the company, not just
Mhm.
the subordinates or the peers or the same level. They
Mhm.
have to present themselves well and make sure that they act accordingly to the company's
Okay.
virtues.
Mhm. I have this confusing idea, but I just want to ask you straight from the source, I guess. Uh, would you rather hire a guy who's technically inclined but not good in character, and then you have another guy who's somewhat good in character and slightly okay with technical skills? So who would you rather pick between the two?
The latter, of course, because technical skills can be learned through different platforms, and good moral, it is innate. It is it is how do I say it? It is taught during preschool up to graduation in college, and it is being taught it at home as well. So it's not easy to learn good morals should be always the priority in terms
Right.
of getting candidates.
Okay. Okay. Being a good character is more important than being technically inclined, but you have to have a balance, right, between the two.
Yes, yes, of course. There
Okay.
are different trainings that we can do to match the technical skills to the character of the person.
Okay. Your organization is providing this kind of training.
Well, it depends on the skill set, but we
Uh,
can refer them to different organizations has the specific trainings for that.
okay. So you guys are not just routing or matching client versus the candidate. You're also trying to balance and fill in the gap so that you could properly allocate the right resources, right?
Yes.
Okay, okay. I see, I see. So I want to go on to my next question is, what type of screening do you perform for IT professionals?
Well, it is done via CV screening, examination, and series of technical and behavioral interviews.
Okay, for example, I want to focus on the manual software testing. And for example, this guy is an aspiring candidate, doesn't have any previous background in IT, but has some potential. How do you engage, or what kind of examination do you provide so that you could gauge if this guy is indeed capable?
First, examination will be useless if the candidate really doesn't have the technical skills for the role that we're looking for. Say, for
Mhm.
example, the position is for Selenium automation, yet the candidate doesn't really have a background regarding that skill set, then I don't think there would be examination that will be fit for the candidate to gauge his qualification. But we can give him a proper interview wherein we can discuss to him the type of skill set the client needs so the candidate can work on that specific skills, and later on the candidate can come back to us to reapply.
I see, I see, see. So you can provide a bit of a coaching after the filtration or the screening out of the aspiring candidates. So I think
Yes.
that's quite fair.
Yes, because
Yeah.
in recruitment we don't only give the candidate the paper and then interview them. We also give them the career path. We
That's
coach
right.
them. Right.
So, for example, for an aspiring career shifter, do you also advise guys like this, or do you try to entertain them in the most appropriate uh, job post? For example, a manual tester that doesn't require any coding and um, or automation skills. For example, an auditor or an accountant can can transition quickly into a manual tester. How do you handle this kind of application?
Well, if the client is really seeking for a candidate with at least a basic background on the skill set, we can ask the candidate if he or she has the training, like online training, free tutorials that he learned before the interview. If zero experience or training, then we cannot proceed with the application. We can ask the client if they are willing to provide training for the candidates without zero background, and the candidate can get back to us if they are interested on taking a training.
Oh, that's very enlightening. So you do value the online trainings of the candidates. For example, online trainings in Udemy and Skillshare, are they really valid as a sort of a certification?
Well, they will only be valid if the candidate really has the skill set or possesses the skill set needed for the role. So there has to be some examination to validate whether the candidate really learned during the online session.
Yeah, yeah. That makes sense actually. So it's not a sure thing. If you do have an online training, you have to validate it by using or undergoing an examination. I think that's fair enough. Mm, as a follow-up question, I just want to know the demographics about the pay and benefits. Is the pay and benefits of IT professionals at par with our neighboring countries like Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand?
Well, in terms of the pay in terms in different countries here in Asia, Singapore has the highest salary rate considering their cost of living. But IT is also widespread in India, Malaysia, Japan, and others like Sri Lanka. I can say that Philippines is leveling with Malaysia, but Philippines has the advantage in terms of the skills. So Philippines can level up to the skill set of the people in Singapore. That's why Singapore is hiring a lot of Filipinos here for their
Oh, okay.
requirements. In terms of the
That's
pay, we can't
mhm.
really tell because it depends on the client. But based on the majority or the averaging of it, Singapore has the highest pay, while Philippines can be the second or can be the third, depending
Yep.
on the clients.
I think I would agree on that part because I had a chance to work in Singapore as well for about 3 years, to different organizations, and I cannot help but to have some comparison. I think what you told me is still existing, and it's still current status quo. Singapore is by far have the more lucrative in terms of salary, but again, the cost of living. If you consider the cost of living, I think Singapore is also the most expensive country to live with, and I think looking back right now, um, getting employed here in the Philippines as a software QA is not that bad. I think it's getting we're getting up there, you know, in terms of benefits and other non monetary benefits, right?
Yes, yes, correct.
Okay. I just want to move on to another question. Um,
Sure.
how do you advise aspiring candidates who want to have an IT career in software testing? And from those starting out, how do you provide them any tips? Can you provide them a secret sauce or secret recipe for
All
our
right.
listeners out?
All right. Well, there is really no secret recipe. The aspiring IT professionals just need to keep on striving to get their dream job because IT is very broad. Um, they just have to make sure that they will decide on which role in IT they would like to target and focus on enriching their skills needed for that job. If they're willing to take online paid tutorials, then it's okay. If not, there are available free online tutorials, and um, based on our current market, there are institutions who also give paid online education with legit diploma, meaning accredited by our government, like AMA or IT online education. So they can take also test the online courses
Mhm.
and offline courses. Um,
Yeah,
they just need to make sure that they really want what they're doing.
right. I agree. Since you've been dealing with a lot of applicants, and I just want to ask, what works and what doesn't work when you're writing your CV or your resume? Can you give us an advice? Well,